over the past several decades is a global tragedy. The images of people desperate to flee are truly heartbreaking. And naturally, it should come as no surprise that the Republican Party has seized on these moments to score political points. Take, for example, Texas Representative Michael McCall, who told CNN that Biden will, quote, have blood on his hands for what they did. This is the same man who represents a state where more than 54,000 people have died from COVID. Tell me, Congressman, does Governor Abbott have blood on his hands for his abandonment of the people of the Lone Star State? What about the 626,000 Americans who died of COVID because of Donald Trump? You see, this newfound outrage, it just stinks of political opportunism. This is, after all, the party that stood by as the bloated retiree banned Muslim immigrants, buddied up to the Taliban, and shut our doors to refugees who needed our help. Over at Fox, you're reminded of what the party really thinks about the Afghan people.
If history is any guide, and it's always a guide, we will see many refugees from Afghanistan resettle in our country in coming months, probably in your neighborhood. And over the next decade, that number may swell to the millions. So first we invade, and then we're invaded.
Is it really our responsibility to welcome thousands of potentially unvetted refugees from Afghanistan? All day we've heard phrases like, we promised them. Well, who did? Did you?
Meanwhile, Crypt Keeper Stephen Miller added to that repugnant commentary with his own special white nationalist flavor, tweeting, "Be warned, the State Department will use Biden's withdrawal fiasco as predicate for importing massive numbers from region with rushed vetting and no ties to U.S." Joining me now is Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Her family fled Somalia's civil war. She spent 4 years in a refugee camp before fleeing to the United States in the 1990s. Congresswoman, I'm not surprised. I'm just going to preface this by saying none of this is surprising. That the people on the right who were just like 24 hours ago pretending to care about the Afghans, people, suddenly are like, yeah, but don't send any of them over here. But I would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, it is not surprising, right? This is their playbook. They know how to whip up their base into frenzy. The reality is that we've been in this conflict, in this war, for 20 years. There are people who've helped us in this mission. There are people whose lives are going to be at risk, and we have to do everything that we can to bring them to safety. And we've done this many a times where we have evacuated people, airlifted them into safe spaces so that we can properly vet them and have them come to the United States as vetted refugees. I know a little bit about that. I know what it's like to be a child in a family scrambling for safety in a war-torn country. I know the rigorous process you go through to get vetted as a refugee. We are the most vetted people who come to the United States. The process is long, and it doesn't just end when you arrive on the shores. It continues for years until you are eligible for citizenship at 5 years of entrance. And so I really hope that people understand that there is a certain promise that we've made, and we can't break that promise. And that's not a promise that the United States made, but it's also a promise that our NATO allies have made. It's a promise that neighboring countries should fulfill, and we have to do everything to make sure that there is a multinational coalition leading this effort to save not just our allies, but every Afghani who's afraid for their lives, especially young women and, vulnerable men as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's infuriating to hear these people who voted against allowing more visas for Afghan allies. They literally voted against it. Lauren Boebert, who made a stupid joke about Build Back Better and thought she was clever, she was one of 16 Republicans who voted no when it came to approving more visas for Afghan allies. So they're not for these people. The names will sound to you